Hi, and welcome to week 10 of EDC 420. This week, we are again kind of bringing everything together that we've learned thus far in the course through our week's focus on SLA myths and realities. To begin the week, before you dive into the course content, I recommend you download the note catcher that I've created. That'll help you organize your learning and take some notes as you read. It's not required. You don't have to submit it, but it will be helpful when you get to your discussion post if you have kind of some organized thinking around the readings and lecture notes for today or for this week. So we're going to begin this week with a reading from the Lightbound and Spada book. This is our last reading in the course text, and you will be engaging with some popular ideas about language learning. So you'll be going back to that initial chart with the 18 statements on it that you engaged with at the beginning of the course, and thinking about what you've learned thus far and what we know about those statements, if they are myths or realities. When you're reading that, I recommend you not only have the note catcher to help you take some notes, but also your own opinion chart from week 2, so that you can engage in some comparison as you read and see the way in which your own thinking has either been affirmed or challenged or by some of the things that we've read or learned this semester. From there, I have 2 lecture videos I created for you where I go through each of those statements and kind of summarize what's in the book, but also provide some additional connections based on other theories and research and concepts that we have learned about in this course. So you'll see those linked in the Brightspace page. The next part of our content learning for this week is thinking about kind of a comprehensive theory of second language acquisition. As I imagine you have gathered from all of the things that we've learned about this field, it is quite complex. And so any kind of simple theory that seems to or proposes to explain everything, we know probably isn't a very good theory, because there are so many different factors that are shaping how a learner is acquiring or is able to acquire a new language. So this chapter, which is from Brown's book, does a really nice job of synthesizing a few different approaches to thinking about SLA and providing a holistic metaphor model for thinking about second language acquisition. There's also an optional reading if you want to see another model, a comprehensive model for second language acquisition that was developed in 2016 by a group of scholars, leading scholars in SLA, as another way to kind of synthesize what we know about the field and the factors that shape second language acquisition. And I've included the visual of that model and also a link to the article if you'd like to read it. So taking all of that together, your discussion reflection for this week will have 2 parts. The first will be revisiting that list from Lightbound and Spada, what you initially put in when you went through that list at the beginning of the course, and what you've learned about those different statements now. And I want you to choose 2 or 3 of those ideas. And for each of them, explain your thinking about that idea, the initial thinking you had, and then talk about how some of the research you've read or theories we've learned about have strengthened your opinion, agreeing or disagreeing with the statement, or have led you to change your perspective. The second part of the discussion forum is developing your own comprehensive model for second language acquisition. So Brown presents some metaphors for thinking about the field of SLA and everything that we know impacts SLA. The Douglas Fir group have their kind of graphic organizer representation. So I want you to create something similar. It can be a metaphor, like the color wheel or the ecology that Brown presents, or it can be some sort of graphic that you create where you identify the theories or concepts or ideas that you think are most important for developing and acquiring a second language based on your learning in this course. And then, of course, remember to respond to at least 2 classmates. And finally, and importantly, this is the week when the second part of your case study is due. So if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like the first part of your case study, I'm really looking to see how you're making connections between what you're seeing and what you're hearing, and the theories and concepts that we've learned about. So remember to explain those theories and concepts, pretend that I do not know what they are. So explain what it is and show how it applies in the case of your learning context and your focal learner in that learning context. And again, it's okay to use a different learning context than the focal learner that you chose for part 1 if it didn't work out, to be able to observe that learner. If you can observe that learner, great. And I hope you find some new and interesting insights about the experience of learning a new language based on this close observation of a learning context. So that is our week. Have a wonderful time engaging with the content, and I look forward to reading your papers.